Hey, what's up? This is Tim Springer. Listen, I have a message for all my middle school players or even high school players that maybe made their team this week or are going to make their team next week or it's somewhere in the near future. There's some important things that you need to start doing. See, look, a lot of you go in here and you go, the end goal is, well, I made the team. And then, let's just see what happens. That's the fastest route and the best methodology to make sure you have a mediocre season, and that's not what you want to have, especially if you're younger. You need to build off it and things of that nature, and pretty much any season needs to be built upon. So I'm gonna go through these real quick because I do have a varsity workout coming through here any minute now, and these players are all players that didn't even have to try out. They were expected to be back on varsity this year, or we're coming up the ranks and we're still expected to start on varsity. Many will play in college. So they've already kind of got past some of the stages that some of you who are probably watching this have been there. And I would say this too, parents of players in this situation, this is going to be much value for you as well because, well, I'll put it this way. My sons, one plays basketball. He's on varsity at Johnson. The other plays soccer. They already kind of know these principles because they've heard them time and time again, year and year again. Because anything I teach to my players, obviously I teach to my sons. But even still, me as the parent, I have to ask the right questions. Maybe schedule a time to help sit down and write and think things through. Maybe ask daily questions for reminding. So this is actually going to be very beneficial for players and parents. And I encourage you to take notes, even though after it's done as a live, it will go as a reel so it can be beneficial to everybody. Okay, so number one is this. Now you've made the team. What is your intentionality? What intentions are you setting? And let's talk about that in a few ways. Is there either a role that you know you already have? Maybe you already know you're going to be the point guard. There we go. Sorry about that. If you saw that, maybe it was just a freeze, but we had a connection issue, a network issue. So like I was saying, you need to figure out what role do you have? Do you know you have? Coaches told you the point guard? Or what role do you desire? Are you trying to be the shooting guard? Are you trying to be the power forward? And we got to start there, okay? Now we're going to start there, and here's what it is. It's B times do equals half. B times do equals half. So a person in that role needs to be what? And I didn't start with do. So that doesn't mean how many shots you put up today and are going to put up every day in the action. The be. Who do you need to be? Well, if you're a point guard, you need to be a leader. You need to be a communicator, right? You need to be a problem solver. You need to be one of the most patient people on the floor. You need to be the most knowledgeable about the plays, right? Those are the B's, okay? So start looking at it from that start. List all this out. And writing is better than typing. But just write all that out. Who do you need to be? Do you need to be the most healthy because they need to rely on you if you're the point guard, right? And I'm just using that random example. Everybody's important. Everybody needs to be reliable. Everybody needs to be consistent. It doesn't matter the position. But that's one thing that we really want to consider when we start thinking about our role. Now, B times do equals half. So the do. How many shots do you need to make a day? How many shots do you need to make a day? Do you need to work on your handle? What is the weakness that you need to eliminate ASAP? What are the strengths? Okay, so we're back. Again, I don't know what's going to happen when this archives to a reel, but if there's these little points where I either freeze or I am just rambling, but maybe it's blurry, I don't know. Just know it was a connection issue, and I'm going to try to get this done a little faster now so that I know this is going to be a consistent problem. So B times do equals half. Who are you going to be in that role? What are you going to do in that role? Do you need to get your ball handling better? Is that a weakness? I got a point guard right now. This kid was not a point guard before this season. He's got to be the point guard for his school team, which we all know that happens. It may not be that at club, but they're going to be that at school, right? So here we go. He's got to figure out what he's got to be, and he's got to figure out what he's got to do. What's the work that needs to be put in? What's the work that needs to be put in? Okay, now he's got his role. What is his goals? 10 points a game, 6 assists a game, first team all district, blah, 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 blah. What is his goals for the team? Hey, we're going to make it to state. Hey, we need to be a playoff team. We haven't been a playoff team in 5 years. So what is his goal? And again, he goes to B times do equals half. So every time you get into each part of this and figuring out what this is, what this story and this journey and this chapter of your life is going to be, you go, okay, what does B times do equal half and fit into that equation? So now they're figuring out goals, right? What goals do you have? So we're going to figure out roles and we're going to figure out goals, right? This all makes sense. And then from there, I want you to figure out where can you study more? Because the B times 2 is good, but the more knowledge you have, the more you watch, the more understanding you have, the easier it is to be B, the easier it is to do, or maybe the do part you'll do better. You study Steph Curry. I'm not guaranteeing you'll be a better shooter, but maybe you'll be able to understand form better, shooting form better, that you can then go apply it when you're shooting. That's a random example. I'm reaching a little bit, but I think you get the logistics of what I'm trying to say. So what do you got to go learn? Who can you go study? Who plays in your position? Who plays like you? Who has a body type like you that you can study and learn and watch? You have YouTube. Type the player's name in and put highlights next to it and watch. Go watch. Go watch everything that they do and try to copy it, try to mimic it. Maybe you can find their workouts. What drills are they doing? What things are they working on? So you're going to figure out things for your roles. You're going to think about things for your goals. You're going to figure out who you're going to learn from as far as watching. And then who are you going to get yourself around? Who are you going to get yourself around? What kind of trainers do you need, right? Who are the kids on your team that are going to want to work as much as you do? Maybe they're as intentional as you are, right? Can you find ways to spend more time with those guys? Because if you're motivated, you're starting point guard, you can't go, you might not be able to hang out with the ninth guy on the bench who really doesn't care about his playing time. He's just there because he's happy to be on there, right? He's happy to have a jersey, and he's happy to just be part of the team. But he doesn't care about first team all district. He hopes y'all win, but he's not going to do more for that. That might not be the guy you need to hang out with. So who are you going to hang out with? What players? And sometimes it may not just be players on your team. My son hangs out with players on his team and he works with them, but he also works with a lot of other players from other teams who are like-minded to him. And then he gets them with a trainer. Yes, it happens to be me in his case. But, I mean, I've no examples where I'm not that and it's not my son. And you get them around people who can make those things happen. But it's then communicated. You don't just go to a trainer, do whatever drills, every workout they want you to do. It should be a good trainer should already be asking you. Right? What are your goals? What are your roles? What do you need to learn? What don't you know? And helping moving that forward so now they become part of that community. This day and age, I'll be honest, if you're not training, and sometimes kids get it done with their parents, if the parent has some knowledge of what's going down, right? Or maybe an AAU coach, if they can share that time and they're not trying to make them play in tournaments, especially for high school, right? And things like that. But you need training. Like, there's too many people training now that if you're not, you're falling behind 100%. And it used to not be like that, but it is now, especially if you can get trainers like the workouts that we put out where you're going to be intentional. It's going to be about a role. It's going to be about a goal, and it's going to be educating you on what you need to know. Those three categories we talked about. So with that being said, take that, please. I know I talked fast. I was worried about the connection, keep acting up and not really going through. And I wanted to make sure this message got to you. But your job is not done just because you made your team. And your job is not done just because you didn't even have to try out. They just accepted you already because they were waiting for you on varsity, waiting for you on 8th grade, waiting for you on A-team freshman, whatever it is. Right? Your job's not done. You need to get pen and paper, put that together. Again, if you're watching this live and you couldn't get everything out of that, I'll make sure archives is real so you can watch this as many times as you need to. Don't see this as entertainment. See this as education. See this as a gem. See this as a stepping stone to where you want to get with this. And parents watching, whether live on the replay, make sure you're seeing this too. Make sure your kid is thinking like this too. I've given the same exact framework to hundreds, maybe even at this point thousands, because I've been doing this. You know, Spartan basketball has been existing for 16 years. I was a trainer 4 years before that. So 20 years, I've been given the same frameworks. Obviously, I've articulated it and evolved it throughout the years, but it's pretty much been the same. And there's not been a player that actually worked the frameworks that didn't find some kind of success for themselves. Does that guarantee a D1 scholarship? No, because every kid is different and whatever it is. But it should be what happens is if they use the frameworks right, and especially if they apply B times do equals have and actually do the work, not just pontificate, actually do the work, then all of a sudden they're going to get close to that success or they're going to go beyond that success. And it's because they had some kind of framework, they had some kind of structure about what they're doing. Everything that I ever learned in the military was about the structure and the intention of how we're doing it. And that's what made 90% of it effective. So that's what we need to do, and that's what players need. Players need to, I say it all the time, players need to think like soldiers. Players need to train like soldiers. And don't take that out of context. I know we live in a world full of turmoil and people want to take things out of context, but get what I mean by that. Basic training taught me just as much about developing a basketball player as did spending time in a gym rebounding for a pro skills trainer for one of, like Olaf Lange, who was one of